Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Dior, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 6. Alright, so as anyone that's been keeping track of these videos for whatever reason, I did mention I was going to be changing things up once I got Hilda, and I got Hilda. Now, some obvious weaknesses for this box is Hilda's 3 stars. She ain't going to be taking shit. At best, she's going to be possibly a ban bait for people that just like see her as a new character or just a new faction buffer and like don't want to deal with her. But for the most part, she's just kind of there until I actually get some star ranks on her. Tensei Jessica is still 4 stars. Rosen CL is still 5 stars. And Naomi is 5 stars. Everyone else, I believe, is 6 stars at this point. So, some new bloods, to say the least. Obviously, since now I have a reincarnation faction buffer, I now have a lot more reincarnation in my box. And then, of course, I wanted to use Rosen CL because she's kind of good for anti-debuff stuff. It does also open up the Empire faction if I want to start throwing Empire faction, though right now I have 0 Empire faction besides herself in there. Actually, Hilda, I believe, is Empire faction as well. But don't quote me on that. As for my opponent, only 1 tank, so obviously this is kind of supposed to be a no tank push. Oh, actually, sorry, 2 tanks. But Estelle is the purpose for Estelle is not for tanking, but for extra mobility. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 healers. Or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 healers and a deedlet. So essentially 5 healers, 2 tanks. Though it's all rush. It's kind of a weird box, which I don't mind because it's at least different. Because really the only AoE for that's in this box is Juggler, Rian, and Sakura, and I guess technically Estelle, though. To be honest, Estelle's not the best. Oh, and Arian Rod. So it looks like it's a rush box, but it's mixed between single target and AoE. All right, and it also seems to have a lot of time faction. All right, so let's dive right into this. So they banned my Rosen CL first, which is a common thing I usually hear tends to be the case, because obviously you want to ban Rosen CL so you can do your AoE stuff. I guess it's a little weird that it's. I mean, I guess it makes sense as a first ban, but obviously it's my response. I'm going to be banning all of their AoE anyway. I of course I got rid of Ares first because he's a long legs and his AoE is actually rather painful. But instead of grabbing an AoE first, he went straight for Yusuke, and the reason why he went straight for Yusuke was because he's a faction buffer for time. And since majority of his things are time faction, it ends up being something like that. So with that, I was like, well, that gives me another opening. I was a little torn on exactly what I wanted to ban. I was kind of tempted to try to ban healers and hope to force him to pick a healer. But I really wanted to get rid of Rian. And there's a lot of healers I just don't want to deal with in a rush box, because obviously Actigans, extra mobility, teleports, a lot of things that could just cause a lot of issues. So no matter what, I was going to get rid of Rian, and I went ahead and got rid of Florentia. Florentia is not as big of a threat in this particular box because there's really only 1 faction buffer that can actually faction buffer, so the amount of what's it called, strategy points are kind of limited. I grabbed Freya because, like I mentioned, Hilda's still 3 stars. I need a reliable tank, especially against someone like Yusuke. And right off the bat, they banned my Hilda right after I grabbed a tank already. So my only guess was they were just trying to get rid of faction buffers. I don't really know what the plan was. They got rid of Rosen CL, or Rosalia, because obviously she's long legs. My opponent didn't bother grabbing a healer yet, went ahead and grabbed Sakura, so it does have some AoE stuff as well as first strike potential. I was a little concerned about extra mobility, so that's why I go ahead and banned Matthew. The other reason I banned Matthew is because he was a faction buffer. But to be honest, they really the only pro tags here were Estelle, Liana, and Sakura. And Sakura's going to get a faction buff anyway. So, I mean, I guess if you grabbed him, I don't remember if Yusuke is pro tag or not. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. But I think there was probably a better pick than him. I should have picked either another healer or took out something else that was kind of a key target. So I was a little torn on what I was going to pick as well. I'm kind of going into detail as far as the ban pick here is more than usual, just simply because I have a new box. I grabbed Illustrial because they let me have him. or let me have her, but I was a little torn on whether or not I wanted to grab a healer, because grabbing Rose and Seal as a first ban does leave me in a situation where I have only 2 primary healers and then D-Lit and then a bunch of secondary healers. But I was kind of okay with that. And no surprise, went ahead and banned my assassins. Well, at least my remaining ones. They grabbed Estelle, so now they have mobility and technically a little healing, but it's not really used for healing. At that point, I was the only primary healers that were left were Liana and Weiler, so I got rid of both of them. Again, I was a little torn. I wasn't sure if I needed flexibility for my buffs or not, so I went ahead and grabbed Sophia. To be honest, I think I should have went for... I should have probably gone for Tensei Jessica instead, just to get that locked in, and then just start continuing down Origins faction. But if I had grabbed... yeah, I think that would have worked, because if I had grabbed Tensei Jessica and they banned, like, more of my Origins faction or whatever, then I would just grab Sophia at that point. And as mentioned, they went and banned my Tensei Jessica, which is fine. She's only 4 stars still. They grabbed D-Lit because that's technically their only healer now. So I got rid of Tsubame, mainly because of it's possible that she has first strike, even against ranged. In hindsight, I don't think it was that big of an issue, but also since I rely heavily on striking rather than AoEs, there's a good chance that she can actually take advantage of her stealth and kind of sneak in and just poke somebody. And of course, I got rid of Aryan Rod because it's time faction all the way down right now, and I did not want another AoE time faction running around. Since they got rid of one of my Jessicas, I grabbed the other one. At this point, they kind of got rid of the rest of my primary DP. Well, they got rid of some of my off healers essentially. They grabbed Juggler. I was torn. I had to pick either Shaltir or Naomi. You can see from the box here there are at least 2 sword characters and Shaltir spears. I don't have Werewolves fully built yet, so her troops are also spears. So she's just not a good fit for this particular battle. So this will be my first time using Naomi in a Apex match. So and she doesn't have access to faction buff. I'll have to rely on Sophia to actually buff her. Alright, so let's go ahead and switch these on. Alright, so we'll go over our opponents first. Nothing too out of the ordinary. You got Master Ice, Beast Shock, and Sacred Beast Ham as usual, so this guy's going to teleport in and AoE a bunch. Sakura has both her AoEs, including her 3 cost. Yusuke has faction buff, transformation, and of course Dark Tincture. D-Lit is using 3 cost with the Tea of Miracles and Accelerate Aid for support. And then Estelle here has Detect, Phoenix Wave, and Enduring Hope, which is a little weird in my opinion. I mean, Detect is actually kind of useful, because if you use it in conjunction with something like Phoenix Wave, you can potentially dispel a number of buffs. Or sorry, not dispel buffs, but disable passives. But since majority of my group doesn't really rely on passives that much, it's not that huge of a deal. So new troops, Elven Cavalry Archers, I do have them maxed out. They were the first troop I maxed out because they're amazing. They're a very, very good upgrade. I won't go into what they do because I've already talked about that in a previous video. Same kit as usual. Same kit for Young Jessica as well. Same kit for Freya with faction buff. And then Sophia, same kit. And then Naomi. Got Sorcerers as troops. And I went Cleanse, Strategist Garb, and Magic Stitch. In hindsight, I think I should have dropped Magic Stitch and grabbed another attack spell. But Cleanse, I went with Cleanse specifically because it gives me the ability to dispel debuffs, or sorry, dispel buffs. Usually, like in PvE, I usually don't have Cleanse. I have her other fire spell that does like a cross AoE fire terrain thing, which is kind of neat. But for this particular fight, I don't think I need it. Also, fixed damage is not going to do much against Juggler while he has a Master of Ice active. Alright, let's go ahead and dive right in. So there's the coverage right now. This is Illustrial's coverage. This is why you usually ban Illustrial, especially on this map. So the neat thing about Strategist Garb is it's not a time duration buff. It's a charge duration. So as long as I don't cast any attack spells, this will stay active until I actually use them. So it's actually good to open with. Also, Naomi's talent after her first turn, she will apply magic garments to everybody, which will give you damage reduction if you happen to be below 80% health, which can be kind of actually pretty useful because, you know, usually what will happen is you get hit really hard and either you can't heal or you can't heal the full, and then someone will follow up to finish up the job. So with this, it actually makes that follow-up a little harder for them to do. Also, she will give this garb again when she dies. And besides that, as long as she doesn't have too many debuffs, she actually gets a int increase. So she actually has some decent intelligence. Her enchants are not fully fleshed out yet, but I was definitely very interested to see if she can actually come through here. Obviously, the gimmick here is to take advantage of her extremely long range. Both with young Jessica and Naomi, I got some really good range. Young Jessica has at least has 6 range with her attack spells. Naomi has 4 range and can move 3 spaces with her spells. And then of course we got Lustriel, who has 3 range and can possibly bypass guard depending on terrain. Which is one of the things I was kind of concerned about. I can definitely attack some things here, but since Estelle does block guard against physical, and I can't get into any grasslands, I don't have a way of actually bypassing Estelle. It's possible I might be able to kill Estelle at this point, just by reversing her debuffs and all that good stuff. Or reversing her buffs into debuffs. Unfortunately, Dealet actually kind of negates a lot of that, because Accelerated Aid makes it so you're immune to, let's see. Oh, sorry, not Spirit Dancer grants immunity to all debuff effects. So, her taking those extra actions is spreading that fancy little buff around. So I was really confused on why it opened with Master of Ice. You may be thinking maybe he ran out of time, but he still had time left. So it was not auto. It also wouldn't make any sense that AI would not do that. So yeah, I don't know why he did Master of Ice. Because, I mean, my only guess was maybe to make sure that you have fixed damage immunity before you teleport, but that doesn't make any sense because the moment you teleport, you get Master of Ice anyway. So literally, it's just a wasted skill. He teleported in. He has no buff. He has no faction buff. So as you can see, his stats are not great. So the only thing he's got active right now is Beast Shock, which is negating my guard. And then, of course, a bunch of this passable terrain thing. Also, speaking, this debuff that makes all terrain be treated as water just kills Illustrial's movement, as you can see. She used to cover the map, and now she can barely move a step. So at this point, I get to test out Cleanse. Does pretty good damage. This is not really a good test case, because obviously this juggler is not really buffed and not really prepared. And then Magic Stitch, when I take a turn, will apply that effect, buff within range that makes them more vulnerable to damage. And if she attacks somebody that has Magic Stitch, it will actually heal her after combat. Also, the Magic Stitch can stack. In any case, I went ahead and just finished off Juggler because there's no reason to keep him around. So unfortunately, that's super buffed Yusuke. So right now I'm in his kill range, but there's not much I can do about that. One of the things I was definitely keeping track of is how far Sakura can move, because obviously she's gonna, the moment she gets an opportunity, she's just gonna run in, do her AoE, and do some nastiness. So I'm just kind of shifting back a little bit just to kind of reduce the potential of being attacked. Went ahead and maxed everyone back to full and reapply buffs. And I decided to go all in to attack Yusuke here. Now, I got rid of some of his buffs, but I couldn't get debuffs because he was immune to debuffs, and that cost me. As you can see, I was just short of getting a kill, and I couldn't. And all she can do is move back a step, so I just stayed in place. The good news is Estelle went for the kill first. And so I used that as an opportunity to go ahead and go straight for Dealet. She was kind of the only person that was in range. The big issue right now, of course, is Yusuke, because every kill I do just heals him up again. So he goes into melee. And he uses Dark Tincture here, so that actually completely kind of saves me a bit, because getting a kill with Dark Tincture does reduce the cooldown, but it only reduces it by 3 rounds. And I attacked with Freya here, mainly because I was trying to do fixed damage, but I forgot that Majin kind of undoes all of that, so it ended up not working out very well. Also, I was not expecting to do so little damage, but apparently I did. So, mainly because Zealots are just ridiculous when they're at full hit points and you have buffs. So we're in a 3-on-3 situation, but since Sakura is so far back, I don't really need to worry too much about her just yet. So Sakura moves. Went ahead and did rewind because obviously I only have cleanse active, so this was the refresh cleanse. I wasn't expecting to get a kill here, but I did. So the plan was if I didn't get the kill, it would at least get rid of some of his buffs. So he moves in to maximize his attack here. But of course moving in puts him in range of Blossom. So in hindsight, I think I should have attacked with Sophia first. Moved in, attacked with Sophia, and then attacked with Naomi and hope for the best. I think that might have been enough to get a kill. But there's also Enduring Hope, so that's a thing. So at this point, I was like, I'm not getting a kill this round. Enduring Hope has been applied, so I can just... There's no other heals. And passing the damage negation only lasts for 1 turn, so after those turns were done, I was able to heal again. Alright. And at this point, of course, I have to kill Sakura, even if the heal reversal kills her. I need to make the trade here. So I was expecting to lose Naomi here. Surprisingly, oh yeah, I did lose her. Yeah, definitely did more than enough. So at this point, we're on 2 units left. I'm right now just kind of reapplying buffs, passing turns, because I need to get rid of this heal reversal. Or Curse of Wounding, I think it's called. I always get them mixed up. So yeah, the fixed damage is just destroying her. She's used everything at this point. She doesn't have any additional attacks besides her melee strike. And she doesn't have much resistance to magic, so even Sophia can do pretty good damage here. So even with her rather high defense from the attack conversion, it's just not enough. So I definitely made some mistakes here. I should have probably held off on striking with Illustrial. I mean, it's still I still won out in the end, but I think if I had waited, I would have had a better opportunity. That passive buff that D-Lit does only lasts for a turn, or lasts for an action essentially, and she can only apply it to those she's adjacent to. So it's just a matter of just figuring out which key targets you want to go to. So I was pretty wary about whether or not I can survive against Yusuke, because Yusuke can anti-heal. And, or heal negation rather, but, and once heal negation's up, at that point it's kind of just racing the clock on who can kill each other faster. So that's why I kind of wanted to, I risked trying to go for the kill. Also, I just wanted to see how good the wolf archers are. They are pretty good. Obviously, I didn't attack from forest or grasslands or hills, so I did miss out on some of the potential attack buffing there. If I had those buffs, I probably would have gotten the kill. But unfortunately, that wasn't really an option as far as positioning was concerned, unless I wanted to attack with just a normal attack, which would not have gotten a kill. But in any case, I'm really happy with the results. I'm glad like I said, that was my first battle with the new group. I'm really glad it worked out as well as it did. But yeah, as you can see, Tensei Jessica 4 stars, Hilda's 3 stars, and Rosen CL is 5 stars, and I think, where's Naomi? Naomi's also 5 stars. I think I'll be sticking with this group for a while. I don't plan on using Himiko. I'll try to probably get her just for collection. Also, she kind of has some neat little pushback mechanics that I might want to use in some cases. But as far as Apex is concerned, this is going to be the box for a little while. Characters I'm definitely looking forward to in the future. Tsubame will eventually get an exclusive helm that'll make her a little bit more viable. I'm not sure if I'm going to have room for her though. But one character I'm definitely really interested in is see, she's down here, I believe. Is Helena. Helena has a exclusive armor that makes it so she could spread out her terrain a lot easier, and it gives her a crazy amount of mobility and crazy amount of debuffing just by herself. And I kind of want to mess around with that and see how that plays out. Besides that, Patsier and Toa are the next major female characters that are going to be coming out that are not collabs, and both of them are pretty interesting. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use Patsier, even though it'll definitely be a fit for a group that's all female. But Toa is definitely going to fit in here because she's both Origins and Reincarnation. So yeah, good stuff there. Anyway, as for my win percentage and all that good stuff, I am sitting at 50%. There's going to be one more battle coming next week, and then after that it's going to be the finals, and then I'll have a small hiatus where I can spend time just building up my characters. So sorry if this was a little long-winded. I really wanted to go into the details about the band pick and just the new box in general. So until next time, I am the Depressed Dior. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 6. See you guys later.